Hi, fifth graders, and welcome to your very last Wednesday lesson of the summer. I'm Miss Mooney.
And I'm Mrs. Wilson.
So today's topic of our lesson is going to be on poem structure.
And our objective today is I can describe the structure of a poem and create a poem independently.
Nice. So we've talked about poems a little bit in the past weeks this summer, but today we'll be talking about one poem type in specific. But first, we're going to start off with a little game. So this is called the color scavenger hunt. So if you're in Arizona, I heard that it's supposed to be raining and tons of thunderstorms this week since it's monsoon season. And so I started thinking about all of the big rainbows that we're going to have at the end of the week. And I just felt really excited about that. So we're going to be doing a scavenger hunt where we need to look around our house, look around our backyard, our front yard, and we have to find one thing of every color of the rainbow. So just to remind you, the colors of the rainbow are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And so indigo is kind of a bluish purple, and violet is like a purple color. So if you just find two purple things, that's okay too. But what we're going to do is that you are going to pause your video for about 5 minutes, maybe up to 10 if that's how long you need. And you have to go run around your house right now or wherever you are and try to find one item of every color. And then Mrs. Wilson and I are going to do the same thing and try to find colors too.
All right,
let's go ahead.
ready.
Let's do it. So go ahead and pause your video right now and go find one item of each color. All right, welcome back. Yeah, that was fun. I hope you found all of your items. So let's see, now we're gonna do a little bit of a show and tell to see what items we found. So Miss Wilson, do you wanna go first?
Sure. I can't remember all the colors, but I think it was red.
Yeah,
so
there's 7 total, so I'll help you.
Now this is called a file folder.
And
it's so I had some of those.
Oh, perfect.
And then what was
so the next one, how about we do yellow?
Yellow, I found a yellow pencil. I'm at my desk, so it's going to be lots of office type things.
Nice. That works for school. What about green?
Green, I found a green coloring pencil. I also had green on this cactus. I couldn't decide which one, so I grabbed them both.
Nice. Oh, I like
it. And
how about your blue item? Yeah, blue we still have.
I just bought these at the store, so it's sitting right there.
Perfect.
They're slow clear bags. I love these things. It makes for a fast.
That's awesome. What about orange?
Orange, I grabbed my shoe.
That's perfect. And then I think you just have indigo and violet left.
So I had a purple type shirt on, so I was just like, I'm just gonna go with that. And then last minute, one of my butterflies that was purple.
Oh.
So I don't know if I indigo one, but this one works.
I think that's close. Yeah. That's great things that you found. That's awesome. I like it.
Thank you. What items did you find? Let's see your red one.
My red one. So my red one, I went in the backyard and I got this red flower. So I don't really know what kind of flower it is, but I thought it was nice. Bunch of red flowers. I'll do my green next. So green, I found a lime. I'm in my kitchen right now, so everything's going to be kind of food related a little bit. So then I have a lime.
And then we have themes. I wonder what my theme was and her theme.
I know. I didn't even know we'd have themes. That's pretty good. Let's see. My yellow is I have sunscreen because that's very important right now in the summer. It's very hot outside, so I have my sunscreen. And then my orange item is I went in my fridge and I grabbed some orange juice. So it's kind of yellowish, but that's like orange. And then for my blue item, I grabbed my blue coffee mug that I was drinking out of this morning. And then for violet, I got this cupcake holder. And then for my kind of indigo, I don't know if it's really like that. I'm eating grapes right now, so I grabbed a grape. It's kind of more purple.
Hey, that works.
This was probably more indigo colored, but that's fun. I wish we could see what you found at home, but I bet you found some cool stuff. So that was just to get us
Yes.
moving before today's lesson. So thanks so much for participating.
Yeah.
So let's
All
take
right. So,
yeah, let's get started. Oh,
yeah.
let's take a look at today's agenda. So the first thing we're going to do, we talked about how today's theme is on poems. And so the first thing we're going to do is that we are going to read a poem out loud. Um, and so actually first we're going to be looking at what should be included on the poem. So that's kind of the starting of looking at the structure, just to get us thinking. So we'll read our poem out loud, and then we're going to discover what kind of poem we'll be exploring. And so we're really going to start looking at it more and try to figure out maybe some of the patterns in the poem so that we can learn what kind of poem it is. Because we said that we're going to be talking about one poem in specific. And then we're going to continue talking about the structure of a poem. And then we're going to have some fun practicing creating poems. Because at the end, our goal or our objective is to be able to create a poem of that kind, whatever it is, we'll say it soon, independently or all by yourself.
So, what is included in a poem? So, we were talking about all these things, but there is some things that are included in a poem when we're talking about poems. So, we're going to learn about stanzas, and stanzas are in poems. And then we have lines, figurative language, which we talked about that this summer. And usually we have a topic that we're talking about. Usually in poems, you can really find out what they're talking about, and it really breaks it down. So I'm excited that we get to build some more knowledge of things that we already know. Like we worked on our choice poem last time. And so now we get to work on one today for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so this, of course, isn't a list of everything that's in a poem, but these are just some of the
No.
main things that we'll be talking about today. And then also figurative language is fun because we've learned about that before. So that's why we included that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So let's read this poem, The Playground. So where to go, where to start? Sit and kick, back, forth, climbing higher, 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 toes touching the sky. Muster courage, now, jump. Up steps, down slide, speeding for a second. Jump up, grab the part, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, done.
Nice. I like how you read that. It really felt like we were there on the playground with how your voice sounded when you read that. That was cool. So let's see. So we already know that the title is The Playground. So what do you think they're talking about in these parts?
I know, good question. I was just thinking that too. So
Yeah.
we kind of have it in there, and they kind of give it away, like Miss Mooney said, with the title, The Playground. So we're kind of thinking that they're talking about something on the playground, huh?
I think so too. And how it says back, forth, climbing higher, higher, toes touching the sky. That kind of reminds me of like this motion. So I think that might be a swing set, I was thinking. And
Mhm.
muster courage, now, jump. So that sounds like maybe they're
Mhm.
jumping off the swing. That does take a lot of courage. And then it looks like they're sliding down again. And then maybe some monkey bars at the end, I think.
I was totally thinking monkey bars because it's your left hand, then your right hand, and that's kind of what you're doing when you're on a monkey
Yeah,
bars.
I think so too. And so they didn't tell us right away, though, what they were doing in the poem. We had to think about it, and we also had to use our own experiences too of being on the playground, or maybe you've done this with your kids before, Mrs. Wilson. And, we really had to think about that. So that was cool. We got that pretty quick.
Yes. So let's talk about the different parts, right? What did you observe about the poem, Miss Mooney?
So the poem was really fun. It was really enjoyable to read, I thought. Um, well, usually when I read poems usually rhyme. So I was kind of confused that there wasn't really any rhyming words in there. So I don't know. I really thought there would have been rhyming, but I guess there wasn't really any. So I don't really know why. Um, there was a lot of
Well, good.
exclamation points. Oh yeah, what were we gonna say?
I was like, we're gonna learn why it didn't. So those are some good observations.
Perfect.
I love where your brain is going. Yes.
Thanks. Yeah, and I see a lot of different punctuation. So there's question marks, there's exclamation points, lots of commas. So there's there's not really a pattern to this poem. So let's see what we wrote on the board. So yeah, there's no pattern. So yeah, I really didn't see a set pattern that this poem went with. And so by pattern,
Right.
I mean like always doing periods for the punctuation, or maybe a rhyming word. Every other word it was going to rhyme. I didn't see any of that. I also noticed that some parts of the poem are long and some are shorter. And so let's see.
Good
That
observation.
that first like paragraph chunk, I don't really know what you call that, but like that first chunk of the poem, that is only two sentences, I think those are. Or, I don't know. We're gonna have to look over that vocabulary word. But and then the next one has a bunch more, and the next one only has four, the next one has three. So yeah, that's really different. And then, like I said before, I don't see anything that rhymes. And I really thought that poems rhyme. So that's really interesting too. Hmm.
Good observations. We're gonna find out. So we talked about in the beginning we're gonna learn about a stanza, and she was kind of saying chunks and kind of saying this, but and then we have that thing in the beginning of talking about stanzas. So what is a stanza? Well, when I looked up stanza, it said a group of lines forming the basic reoccurring metrical unit in a poem and a verse. So that's kind of like a really weird way of saying it. So basically a stanza is just like a group of lines, and lines are meaning sentences. So here's some tips in remembering of what a stanza is one is like a related group of lines or verses in a poem. So I don't know if you noticed in the last line how the two sentences that went together kind of went together, and then they put all the monkey part, bars part together and the side parts together. So it's a related groups of lines. So it could be two, it could be six, but they kind of are talking about the same thing. So you wouldn't want to put them in different orders because it'd get kind of confusing.
Mhm.
So it can be a verse in a paragraph form. So you saw some of them lines were forming a bigger paragraph, and then there were some that were just two. So it can be one or it could be two.
Mhm.
Um, can keep on going without punctuation, but in this last one we had lots of punctuation. So you can remember that for the future, that they don't really follow all those things that we know when we are trying to write a paragraph.
I think
And
also,
four, may also line in a poem. What'd you say, Miss Mooney?
oh, sorry for interrupting, but when you were
You're
talking
okay.
about how they can keep on going without punctuation, I noticed that in this one, some of these have a bunch of commas in the middle. It's like right here where it says climbing higher, higher, higher. And so even though there's still punctuation, they're commas. And we usually don't end our
Yeah.
sentences on commas. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting
Yeah.
example of number three that I thought of.
And I was saying it could have been a paragraph, but now that I look back at it, it's not really your traditional paragraph either. It could just be one sentence. So that's a stanza for you. So it may also be a line in a poem, so it could just be one sentence. And then two most important features of a stanza is the number of lines and the rhyme scheme. So it can have those, it can have lots of lines, but a stanza is just really those group of sentences that are together that really create a verse or like a paragraph or just one line is your stanza.
Wow, that was a great description and definition of that. And so with number five, I saw the word rhyme scheme in there. And so do you remember how we were talking about how there is no rhymes in this one? So when there is a rhyme scheme, that it's not something we're really going to go into today, but you'll probably hear it once the school year starts. So it's where there's some kind of pattern with the rhyme. So maybe the last word of each line will rhyme, or maybe every other word. So that's what a rhyme scheme is. Not really something we're going to look into today, but just for future.
Yep. So what is a line? I said a line a couple times in there, and as I explained it as a sentence, but a line is a unit of language in which a poem or a play is divided.
Mm,
Okay, similar to a sentence, but does not need to follow usual sentence rules like we're talking about with the punctuation and
mm,
keeping it all in the same line. It's kind of just, it looks like a paragraph, but not really. And a
mhm,
stanza is made up of many lines. So as Miss Mooney said, it could be one, it could be two sentences, or as that one, I had like 6 lines. So it's not even really a sentence, it's just that line of words. So a line could be one word, like it said, I think it said higher and higher. That is a line
Wow,
in a
very cool.
poem.
Nice. That's awesome. So yeah, it's kind of like a sentence, but it doesn't follow the same rules. So yeah, I think that was a really good way to sum it up. So now that we know all of our important vocab, so stanza, we know lines, because that's the big structural piece that we're going to be talking about today. That's the main thing is the stanzas and then the lines. So let's go ahead and learn about what kind of poem we just listened to. So the poem we listened to is called a free verse poem. And so this one is really easy to remember because of the word free. And so when you think of free, it means that you're free to do whatever you like with your poem. There's no rules. And so the poem that we just read, The Playground, that is a free verse poem. And so when we were talking about how I was trying to think of all the things I observed, and I noticed that there was no rhymes, that I also noticed that some of the sentences ended on some funny punctuation, that some of the
Yeah.
stanzas were longer than other stanzas, have more lines in them. And so that's because it was a free verse poem. There's no rules. So now I'm going to read the second paragraph right here. And so that one says, free verse poems are a style of poetry that has irregular rhyme or line pattern. And basically what irregular means is it means like not consistent, like doesn't have a pattern. It's just kind of there. It's whatever the author wants. And so it could have rhymes, but there's no rhyme scheme. There's no pattern to the rhymes. There can be rhymes anywhere in it, wherever they want, and they meaning the author. And then there's also no line pattern either. You can have as many lines as you want, as little amount of lines. Like Mrs. Wilson was saying, you can have a stanza that has 6 lines, or maybe you'll have one that has 1 line. That's okay too. And then also, the poem is developed according to the author's own style. And so the author's style means like whatever they like, however they enjoy writing. It's also kind of like how they think. So I'm going to try to put myself in the shoes of the author who made The Playground. And I think that they were thinking, okay, how can I make this seem like the reader is actually at the playground? And, when Mrs. Wilson was reading, I was imagining myself swinging back and forth and jumping off the swing and then running over and going to the monkey bars. And so it seems like that was the style, to make you feel like you were moving around the playground like that. And then, in other words, there are no rules. This is anything that you want it to be. It's however you want to write your poem, anything goes. So I think they're a lot of fun.
Yes.
Let's take a look. So now that we've been talking about structure, let's take a look at what the structure of a free verse poem is. So you may think, well, Miss Mooney, you just said that there's no structure, no anything. But we do have to remember, though, that stanzas and lines are what a poem is made out of. And so no matter what the poem is, what kind of poem, if it's a free verse, if it's something else, it still has stanzas, it still has lines, just because that's what we call it in poetry. So like I said, there are stanzas, but there's not a set amount of stanzas you need to have in a free verse poem. So there's a poem and it's called a sonnet. And that one has to have 10 to 14 stanzas to be a sonnet. That's what it usually has. But with our free verse, we could have as many as we'd like. So a free verse poem can also have a couple different types of stanzas. So it can have a stanza, and just remember, a stanza is like that chunk of lines, kind of like paragraphs, we call them stanzas. So it could have one line, and one line can be the entire stanza. Or it can have every single stanza has the same amount of lines. So maybe every single paragraph or every single stanza has 5 lines. Or it can also have different kinds of lines. So there can be a poem that it has 2, and then it has 3, and then it has 6, and then 5, and then 1, and it can do that. So either the entire poem is only 1-line stanzas, or the entire poem is all the same amount, or the stanzas have different amounts of lines. So let's see what that means for what we were just reading. So I went ahead and I counted how many lines each stanza has so that we can figure out what kind of stanza pattern it is. So I'm going to read it read over again, but we're going to be counting the lines. So where to go, where to start. So this has 1 line, And we know it's a line because it's literally just a line of text. So where to go, where to start. 2 lines. Sit and kick, back, forth, climbing higher, 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 toes touching the sky. So that one has 6 lines.
Line.
Muster courage, now, now, now jump. That one has 4. Up steps, down slide, speeding for a second. That one has 3. And then jump up, grab the bar, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, done. And so that one had 6 lines. Yeah, you got it. So what kind of stanza structure do you think this has, Mrs. Wilson? So our options were, we can do kind of trial and error. So the first one was 1-line stanzas. So do you see any of these that are 1 line?
Nope.
No, I don't think so either. The second type is that it could have every single stanza is the same amount of lines. What about that one?
Nope.
No, I don't think so either. So our last option is that the stanzas can have as many lines as the author wants or as little. So what do you think about that one?
I definitely think it's that one.
I thought that was the one too. Oop. Yeah, I also thought it was that one. So yeah, that's basically the structure of our free verse poem.
Awesome. So let's try to make a poem. So we really broke it down and talked about all the different parts, and now we get to create one. So me and Mrs. Mooney got to do one ourselves, and now and then it'll be your guys' turn.
Awesome.
So this is how we're going to play. So this is called the sensory poetry. And so we're going to pick an object. This will be in the topic of our poem. So you'll see it almost like the theme of our poem.
Yeah.
And then you will write lines based on your 5 sentences. So we're going to use sight, smell, touch, sound. Did I skip one?
Taste. That's okay. They kind of sound the same.
Touch and sound. So we're going to use all of our 5 senses in our poems. It's going to be fun.
I think it was too.
And I know what item we don't know which items we picked for each other, so that'll be fun. Ooh,
I picked a lemon for you.
Thank you. So were you going to explain this part, or did you want me to, since it's the poem I'm going to do?
Sure. So I can explain it. So this is called Oh yeah, perfect. So this is called what Mrs. Wilson said, the 5 senses poetry. So we called this a template because a template is basically something that's written out for you and you fill it in. So like Mrs. Wilson said, we're going to be using our 5 senses. So looks, sounds, smells, feels, and taste. So the mystery item I picked for Mrs. Wilson is a lemon. And so basically what you're going to be doing is that you're going to be filling in each of those sentences to make a line. So let's go ahead and give it a try. So you already wrote yours in, I see. That's perfect. So do you want to go ahead and explain how you got those?
Yeah. So I really looked at the lemon and I thought, it looks like the sun. So sometimes when you look at it, because it's big and bright, I thought it looked like the sun. And then I said, it sounds like rubber. Sometimes when you're rubbing it, it has like that rubber type of sound. And it smells like lemonade because it's lemon, and lemonade is yummy, and they're made from lemonade or lemons. And it feels kind of sticky. Sometimes when you get it on your hands, and sometimes when you go to fill it, you kind of have like a sticky feeling, and it tastes very sour.
That's so true. So now I'll tell you what your next mission is. So now your next mission, and I think you already filled it in, but your next thing you have to do is that you are now going to put all of these lines together and you're going to make your own poem. And so you can pick how many lines you want in your stanza. You can pick how many stanzas you have. You could have one big stanza if you wanted. It's all up to you because it's a free verse poem. So let's take a look at what you did.
So I said, lemons look like the sun. Lemons sound like rubber when they're dropped. Lemons smell like fresh lemonade. Lemons feel very sticky, and then lemons taste so sour.
Mm.
Do you see how my stanza, like we're like 2, 2, and then 1? So there really wasn't any pattern, and I just kind of grouped them together that way and kind of ended it with it's sour. And I could have ended with any one of those, but I chose sour to end with.
Nice. That was good. I like how you also added in lemons sound like rubber when they are dropped. And so even though it wasn't in your template, you were still able to add that in to make your stanza or your line make a little bit more sense when you wrote it. So you could have added anything. You could have left it out if you wanted to, though, also, but I like how you added it. That's cool. All
Yeah, I
right,
could
that
have
was a
some
great
more.
job. Yeah, that
All
was
right,
so
you ready for the mystery item?
neat. Oh, okay. Those look like rocks. Oh boy.
It looks like, it sounds like, it smells like, it feels like, and it tastes like. You ready? Go ahead and
I'm
put
ready.
that in if you girl.
All right. So this is what I wrote. So I said that I think they look like boulders because whenever I see rocks around Arizona in the desert, it's always really big mountains. And so I think they look like boulders. Maybe I should put mountains too. That would have been a good one. But I put boulders. And then it sounds like crashing. And so I thought of a crashing noise of like when the rocks roll down other rocks, or I was still thinking big boulders. And so I think that sounds like a crashing noise. And then I think that it smells like dirt because rocks are usually in the ground, in the dirt, or in the mud. And then I said that the feel of a rock is very tough and hard. And then I put the taste like that I would not want to taste rocks. So I
You
didn't
don't
really
want to
know what
taste
they
it?
yeah, I didn't really want to, I don't think. Yeah, but maybe I don't know, maybe it would taste just kind of like dry, maybe if I tasted it, but I put that. I don't think I'd really want to taste it.
Really salty.
Salty, yeah, probably. So this is what I wrote for my poem. And so I liked putting the one line stanza and then some more information in the middle and then one line stanza to end it. So I wrote, rocks look like huge boulders. Rocks make a loud crashing sound when they fall. Rocks smell like dirt. Rocks feel very tough and hard, and I would not want to eat a rock. And so I was thinking about my poem in this sense. So since I ended it saying I don't want to eat a rock, I thought that I would put my poem in a pattern that talks about kind of like why I wouldn't want to eat them because they are loud, they make crashing noises, they smell like dirt, they're tough and hard. So I wanted to end mine on saying I would not want to eat a rock. So that's how I thought of the pattern for my poem.
I love that. That turned out great.
Yeah, that was fun. I like that activity. So now, fifth graders, it is your turn to give this a try. So you are going to be doing the exact same thing, but Mrs. Wilson and I picked your mystery item, and for you, we picked a fire truck. So you need to write down what the fire truck looks like, what it sounds like, what it smells like, what it feels like, and what it tastes like. And so maybe you haven't smelled or tasted a fire truck, but you might have to get a little bit creative with that. Maybe thinking about that it smells like smoke, maybe if it's by a fire. Maybe it tastes like water. Like you can imagine the water that's coming off a fire truck. So you're gonna have to get a little bit creative with it, a little bit of a challenge. So go ahead and you can either pause the video and do that poem right now, or you could do it after the video as well if you would prefer that. But basically just do it the same way that Mrs. Wilson and I did it, with using all of the all of the five senses, and then making lines and turning those into your stanzas.
Yeah, that'll be great. And then you'll want to put it in a stanza like she was saying. So after you fill those in, the template, you can always go back and look at ours and see how we can put the sentences together.
Yeah, totally.
A plan for the rest of the week, and it's the last week of summer fun learning labs. I'm actually kind of sad because I really enjoyed being with you guys this summer. But Thursday we'll review the novel Esperanza and do some fun activities with the book. So you guys really get to do a review on it and really tell me what you think about it. So I'm kind of excited about that activity. And then Friday, we're just going to close out the summer and we're going to do a read aloud and I'm going to help you guys prepare for a new year. And we're just going to have a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a great way to end the summer. So yeah, we will miss doing these lessons with you, our Wednesday vocab lessons, but thanks so much for tuning in with us this summer, and we hope you have a great start to your new school year.
Bye. See you
Bye.
the rest of the week.